Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Julie. Welcome back to another card kit transformation. Today we're going to play with the Garden of Thanks kit, and I'm going to do 2 layouts and a few cards. Now I've gone ahead here and I've already laid down my card fronts, if you want, for layout number 1. Layout number 1, I have these cute photos here of Jasmine when she turned 1. I think it's about time I scrapbook these. She's going to be 20 next month. And I've gone ahead here and I just want to show you how it all starts. Most of the card kits, you can usually do 3 of the same cards, and you usually have these really great embellishments or these great punch out. And that's what I'm going to use for my layouts. I used 1 for this page right here, and I'm going to use this one here for the next page. I did bring in some supplementary dies for these really pretty gold accent because there is a lot of gold in this kit. This is from the Friends for Life, and I used this one right here. Now, if you have anything in your stash, it's just to augment, because we are spreading this out on 2 layouts and a few cards. It's always nice to bring a little bit more glam, especially when you have gold and you can accent it with gold. For this page here, I'm going to show you how it all starts. So I'm going to move these out of the way. And I know that my photos are portrait style, so this was a little bit of a challenge because these are original photos and they're all portrait style, and I'm trying to use a card kit. Now you see here that I have 2 base laid out. I'm not going to use the full base because these photos are going to hide most of it. I'm going to cut these pieces here and they're not going to be going underneath. I need to save some of this card base for layout number 2, but I just wanted to show you how I start and then how I look at how can I save some of this paper to extend it to create another layout. This one right here again is going to be a little bit tricky because I want to have it continuous. I want it to run up and down, and there will be a seam. These card bases, you can see that this is for the front and this is for the back. I think I want to add this all the way to the bottom of my page, and this one here all the way at the top. So I'm going to strategically cut those, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to double mat this photo to make it stand out. I've got my embellishments here, so I've got a little bit more here. This one here I am going to use as is. I know that I can save some here, but this one here I'm going to use it as a full size, and I think that this is the beginning of a really pretty layout. So let me just show you very quickly layout number 2, or the beginning of layout number 2. So for layout number 2, I do have photos for this layout, but I didn't ask permission. These are actually Jasmine's graduation photos, and all of the girls were dressed. Let me show you their dresses. So their dresses, look at the colors. Isn't that perfect? So these are the colors of the dresses that they were wearing. I just didn't have time to ask permission, so I'm going to respect their privacy and show you how to do the layout, but I will conceal the photos. But they do match perfectly this collection. Now this one here, I started to cut into it, and I'm going to show you that. On layout number 1 here, I only have 2 card bases, and I had a 3rd card base. The idea here is that this is going to run continuously across, so I only need like a 1 inch by 3.5, another inch, and we will have a continuous piece. And I will show you that once I've completed layout number 1. Basically what I did with this card base, I cut it at 4.25 right in the center, and then I trimmed it down to 3.5. So I know that I can do this for the next pieces. I'm going to run that continuously. And then because I'll be saving some of this card base, I'm going to be able to bring it into this layout. So I'm just going to show you here a visual. So I'm going to have a little bit of that blue poking out. something like this. So it's going to run continuously, but I'm going to have this really nice blue, and then I'm going to have this sheet right here. And then I'll bring back these great die cuts to accentuate and to add some embellishment. Let me get busy with layout number 1. I will cut all of the pieces. I'll do a dry assembly, and then I will show you how I can expand and bring some of those leftover pieces for layout number 2. Now you're probably thinking, wait a minute, there's more cards. There certainly is. Here are the card bases for card number 3. Now, this to me is really pretty, but it was getting lost on the white background. So I am going to cut these in half, and I am going to, see here I have one extra one that I can probably do it the way it was designed, but I'm going to use whatever I have left. For example, this here, I did cut this out so I could use that for this card. I will come back at the very end and show you how I can create 6 cards with whatever I have left once I've completed my 2 layouts. I wanted to quickly show you another little tip here. A lot of people have asked, how do you keep all of your kits once you're done? Now, I do keep the instructions because I find that these are really helpful to remind me of the colors that were used and what actually came into it. So I keep it intact. I literally fold it in half so that I can see what it is. And then I use these envelopes here. These are the envelopes that the dies come in, and I usually pair up my dies with my stamp. So you can see here, I've added my die right inside the case. So I'm left with some of these great envelopes. So I'll have the envelope here. I will tuck in the stamp usually, and whatever I have left. So again, I'll show you that at the end, but I find that this is a really good way to save whatever you have left. You can save your stamp, and then, you know, if you want to refer back to maybe doing cards, you have it right here in a very useful envelope. So let me clear this off. I'm going to do layout number 1, and then we'll continue on and expand on this card kit. I've gone ahead and I've done a dry assembly with all of the pieces that I've done from those card bases. And I wanted to show you, like, I absolutely needed to save one of these panels for layout number 2. So I was able to achieve that. And this is what I have left. So I've used one card base, one, and then half of one here. This one's going to layout number 2. These pieces here are all done from one card base, so I have a little bit of leftover. Probably I'll keep that for the cards. And I did bring in some complementary paper, and I'll tell you why. This here is not a continuous pattern. It doesn't really matter, but I see it and it was bothering me. And also the fact that I matted both of my photos exactly the same. I wanted this one here to be the featured one. So this is Nature's Sweetness. I just love this paper. So this is the one that has the script with the splatters of gold. I think that it works really well for this layout. And it detracts from the fact that this is not a continuous piece. Do you see that? It just brings a little bit of life to this layout without distracting from everything else that's going on. It's at this point in the assembly that I look at what do I have for embellishments. And they have these really cool sequins that I think will look really good up here. You'll notice here that I have 2 really predominant clusters. So I'm going to add these in here. I was thinking of doing ink splatters in gold, but if I'm adding these, they're going to fight. I might do a little bit of ink blending in the light pink, or maybe I'll just keep it white. I think that it looks really, really nice. There is some twine with this kit, and I might incorporate it into my clusters. At this point, I'm not entirely sure. You'll notice that these pieces here were cut so that they match this one here. So this is 8.5. So I wanted to make sure that this looked like a continuous piece, and I think that I've achieved that. So I'm going to ink all of the pieces. I'm going to tack my pieces down, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all put together. I just wanted to show you really quickly where I'm at with the assembly. I think that this turned out super adorable, and I'm going to show you how I did this here. I haven't done this in so long, and sometimes you just get reintroduced to product and then it reminds you of little things you used to do with twine. So this one here, I'm just going to cut off a piece, and then I'm going to separate the twine itself or the thread. And I think you have 4 pieces in here. Let me see if I can do this quickly. So see that? I am going to separate them out so that they are individual little pieces of thread. So I've got 1, 2, and yeah, and if you pull too fast, you can create little knots. So just take your time when you're separating it out. Just pull very, very gently. And then you end up with something that's a little bit more delicate, since this is a very feminine layout. I've got this one here. We're almost done here. There we go. All right, so now we've got our little mess, and I'm just gonna bunch this up together. I used to do this, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago on pretty much all of my layouts. And it just adds a little bit of interest. Now I've got some large foam tape here at the back because it's going to play double duty. It's going to elevate this piece, and it's going to hold my little nest of thread. So it's just a matter of positioning it the way you like it. And it's not going to be perfect, and that's not what it's meant to look. But I thought I'd show you very quickly how I achieved that look. And it just gives it one more element from the kit to be used on a layout. So let me finish this off. I'll tack everything down, and then we will move to layout number 2. Let's take a look at layout number 1. I really, really like the way this turned out, and I finally got to document these photos. Now I was able to use a lot of the stuff from the kit. The only thing I haven't used just yet is the stamp set, but I might use it in the second layout. I just love that this is just an instant pop of color, and it just brings a really nice soft look to this layout. I do have another photo right here, and it's quite similar. I'm probably going to add this on a flip flap and add my journaling underneath. I'm not sure as of yet. I was thinking of adding maybe the date or something on this piece here, but because the pattern is the same as this one here, it kind of fights a little bit. I do like the pop of color, but I'm not entirely sure where this is going to live. So for now, we're going to call this one done, and we're going to move to layout number 2. Let's take a look at layout number 2 and how it's shaping up. I really love the way this is turning out. I was able to use this great piece right here. On the other one, it was kind of fighting, but then when I added a little bit more of these patterns together, it just fills that corner and it looks really good. Now I did bring back Nature's Sweetness, and I did cut one here to kind of finish the cluster, and then I added little embellishments and tags. You'll notice here that this one's not even a full tag because I am being very conservative with that paper. I love it so much, but it's the perfect accent because this paper or these card fronts have gold in them. So let's deconstruct this together, and then I will ink all of the edges. I've been inking the edges using Smoky Slate. If you're here from close to my heart, the closest one to this is Pewter, and I find that it just gives it a really nice contrast from the white. So we're going to have 2 full photos here, and again, I'm not sharing the photos for this layout because I didn't get permission, but see what's in the back? Not a whole lot. This is my little cluster right here, so let me just move this out of the way. And I've got this tag. So basically what I used is one card front, and I still have the back part of a card base. And I cut it all up so that it runs in back of the photos. So see here, this was the original piece, which is a 5.5 by 3.5. And then these ones here are 1 inch by 3.5, 3.5, and whatever I had left. And then I'm just going to distribute my photos so that this looks like a continuous piece. I did add cardstock to this layout, and these pieces here are done in Misty Moonlight, and they measure 1 3/4 by 6, so you have 2 of those. These two here are the same, 1 3/4 by 10, so you've got this running across both pages. And then these are again the card base, and I still have a tiny little bit left, but these here measure 1 inch and they're by 5.5, and I'm just going to run them across the top and the bottom. So if I take this out, I've got my cluster. You'll notice here that I actually brought back the smaller cluster for this layout. Let me just get the other one. This one right here, if I was to put it down or put it here, it was kind of fighting with this pattern. There was just too much, in my opinion, there was too much of it going on. So I'm going to add these two, even though they're the same. When I put one going up and one going down, I think that that's going to look really good. And I can use this for my cards, so it's not a waste. Again, let me get busy. I'm going to ink distress some of these pieces, and I'm going to tack everything down so it's not moving around so much. And I might revisit layout number 1 and maybe bring a couple of little tags with this pattern paper. It's just so good. It looks so awesome that I might just do that. So let me tack these down and we'll come back and take a look at the finished layout. I wanted to show you where I'm at in the assembly, and I also wanted to add something else to these plain pieces of cardstock. So this is when I turn back to the kit and I look at what I have to play with, and I have this really gorgeous image right here. So let me show you how I did that. I did it for the larger pieces here. They've been tacked down. Just going to move this out of the way, and you can see that I've been playing with it. I decided to do tone on tone, so Misty Moonlight is the color, and it looks really good and it's super easy. The only thing you have to be mindful of is not to add the stem. I'm going to start right here. And it works nicely because it fits right inside each other. So I'm going to go here. And I'm just rotating my piece to make sure that I'm having all the coverage I need. And then when you have a little blank spot, you just do that. But you can see that by rotating your piece, you can really create a nice pattern. So this is what I mean here. I'm going to not put ink on the stem because I don't want the stem to be in that piece right in the center. So I'm just going to remove it from the image so that you don't have a little stem. And then I'm just going to continue on with the stamping. And just like that, I've created myself another pattern to put on my scrapbook layout. So let me finish that layout and we'll look at it together. Let's take a look at layout number 2. I love the way this turned out, and I was able to use all of the card fronts and added these gorgeous clusters here by bringing in that nature's sweetness. I find that that paper matches pretty much any collection in the annual catalog. I did cut out my title using my Cricut, and I wish I could show you the photos that go on here because they are absolutely perfect. But one thing that's really funny, if you look at the title, Class of 23, let's bring back layout number 1, and this was her first birthday. These cards are perfect for any occasion, and you can see that right here. I did add a circle. I brought in the Spotlight on Nature's circle die just to add a little bit more of that nature's sweetness because it is so good. And it added a little bit more because I did frame out this photo. I added one here. This is actually the same circle. I cut it so that I could add it back here to the cluster. I think these layouts turned out super cute. So now let's get to the cards. I have all of this left that I can make cards, and you'll notice that I did keep these bases here, the white ones. I kind of spread out what I have left to make the cards. I'll go ahead off camera here and I will put these together. I might bring in some of this gorgeous paper again because it pairs up so nicely. I have all of my sentiments that I haven't used, and this is what I have left from creating these 2 layouts. These are the card bases pieces that I have left. I think I'll be able to make 6 cards because I'm going to cut these in half, and we'll see where that takes us. So let me get busy. I'll create some cards and we'll come back and do a project recap. Okay, let's take a look at the cards I made with the leftovers. And when you get a kit, you can make 9 cards. I thought I would challenge myself and make 9 cards with the leftovers. So let's go through them quickly. So this is using all of Merci. So you have 3 of those cards, and I used a full embellishment if you want. And then I cut it in half and I added, of course, Spotlight on Nature, and I changed the orientation. So this was 3 cards using the embellishments that I had left and extra cardstock. Now for the thank you cards, I did cut again more of these cute little leaves in gold. So here you have 1, and you have 2, and you have 3. So these are all the leftovers from the card kit, and I added cardstock, obviously. These ones here are quite different, and I kind of focused on the greens for these cards here and the circle. So if you've noticed, I've used the circle, the pennant, and the words right here, pretty much the way that the cards were done. So you've got this one here and this last card here. Now I hope that you've picked up something here today and see how you can truly expand on these great kits. Let's take a look at what I have left, and I don't have a whole bunch left. As you can see, I have this piece. That is it. I've got my stamp set in here. I'm going to tuck this away on my shelf for further reference. And that's it for me today. I was able to create 9 beautiful cards and 2 double page layouts. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have yourself a fantastic week. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this card kit transformation, I think you might enjoy this video right here. See you there.